Welcome to episode 91 of Meet the GIMP. My name is Rolf Steinort and I'm recording this in Bremen, northern Germany. And this is also in Bremen, on the town hall, one of the 8 prince-elects. It's a statue I shot for Dan. Dan wanted to have shots from these statues on the Bonn University, and Bert made them for him. And now I've made some too, from really old stuff here in Bremen. By the way, this is one of the newest images that Bert made, with combining an old image and a new one. This here is a new one shot by him, and this is an old one from directly after the war in 1945, while the people were cleaning up. The problem with these images is finding the right spot where to shoot. But then it's pretty straightforward. Well, but you have to think about a lot of things. For example, what to include, where to make the border between new and old. For example, here these modern stainless steel pillars are in the image and coming out here out of the rubble. And I like this small detail. And there's still another image that really has blown me away. It's this one here. An image combined by today's shopping street here in Bonn, and on the other side the same street, same point of view, where the troops are coming in, and as you see by the posture of these guys here, guns at the ready, they are not quite sure that there will be not somebody somewhere firing at them. In the blog I showed you the start of this project, the origin, which was an artist in St. Petersburg, Leningrad. And he combined images from the war, from the blockade of Leningrad, and today's state of the city. And Bert has made a similar project here with images from Bonn, and I think it's really great, especially these images of war. Here's some images where you can see Bonn in Victorian times, or in later in the 20s, 1920s, golden 20s. But the most striking, I think, are the images which are made, combined from today and just at the end of the war. War still going on, like here, or just after the war. There you see how thin the stuff is that keeps us away from hard times like these. I think it's the thing to keep in mind when you think about politics and so on. But this isn't the topic today. I want to talk about another thing that came up in the forum. We have a new user, Langstracht. I would pronounce it in German. No idea how it's in English or even in French, because he's from Canada. And he has a problem. He wants to have an image where there is a shape, a regular shape, a flower or a face, which is in living color. And then a grown version of this shape, where the saturation or perhaps opacity is reduced to 0. So in the center, the real image, and then from there going out, dimming away. And then there's a list of 3 other things that have to be done. Matthias had tried to answer this, but in the further discussion it turned out to be a little bit more complicated. And instead of typing, I'll try to answer this here. And I hope I get this right. If not, well, then this problem isn't solved, but we have talked a bit about selections and feathering selections. This is another one from the marketplace in Bremen. This is Bismarck, our Iron Chancellor, and he sits directly next to the main church here in Bremen, sitting on his horse and looking a bit grim at the modern times. So I want to use his head and helmet as this irregular shape that shall be in color, and we'll work from here. So first, selecting this is, I think, best done with the Skisses tool. And let me zoom in here. You see I have a little bit of chromatic aberration there, but okay, no problem. And I'll do this a bit crude here. This is more proof of concept than real work, and I'm not such a big fan of Bismarck that I would make a real good image out of him here. So now I have this here selected, and I just press enter to convert it into selection. And here's my selection. I will come back to this selection a lot of times, but first let's correct this a little bit, and this I do with the quick selection tool. And you see here his helmet has to be fixed a little bit. I just take my pen and whoops, wrong color. Let's do Ctrl Z, correct this with Ctrl Z, and reduce the pencil size a bit. And I do this by painting on this mask here, on this quick mask, and everything that is red is outside of the selection, and everything that is not red is inside of the selection. So, okay, this is enough. You see here the selection has grown a little bit in this area. Could do here too, but okay, let's take this. I need this selection a lot, and so I save it into a channel. I go to Select and say here, Save to Channel. And here I have my selection mask. Let's go back to the stuff we have to do. I have the irregular shape, which is in living color. Okay. And then a grown version of this irregular shape, where the saturation, or perhaps opacity, is progressively reduced to 0, or to black and white, or to 0. Let's try to do this with black and white. So, desaturating the image. I double the layer and take care that I work on this one here. And now I just grow the selection by, let's say, 25. Say here, grow, and say 25 pixels. You see here the selection just walked outside. And now I want to have a gradient running from here to here. And for that I feather the selection. Go to Select, Feather, and now I have to do 50, because feathering says we have here 100%, here 50%, and here then the 0. Okay, we'll do that. Nothing is to be seen, but now I go to again to Selection and invert it. Ctrl I would have done that too, and go to Colors and desaturate. Okay, lightness. And now if you look here, we have this gradient coming from full saturation to 0 here. effect here is still a little bit of green. So this was the first task we had to do. Let's look what's more on the list. Oh, this was already the second task. What's the third one? A further grown version where the now black and white image gets increasingly blurry. No blur to whatever. The next step is adding a blur to the outer image and keeping the inner image intact. This is again a copy of this layer here, and this is the blur layer. I add a layer mask to this, and I choose white, full opacity. I go to my channels, say I want my selection mask as a new selection. Here it is. And now I grow the selection, let's say by 100. Select, grow, 100. You see I have cheated and tested this before. And now I want to feather this also by 100, or let's say 150. Select, feather 125. Let's do 125. Now I select black. No, first I make sure that I'm working on my layer mask here. So I select black and just fill my selection with black. Now you should see it here. Nothing has happened here, really. But of course it couldn't. This is just a layer copy. But now, if you see here, you can see the effect. But now I'll blur this image here, and this is done by filters, blur, and then Gaussian blur. That's called after a German mathematician who was to the horror of his math teacher. And you see here, I have a problem. I'm working on my layer mask. So click. The white border tells you where you're working on the layer mask and on the layer. But I want to blur this here. Again, filters, reshow, Gaussian blur. So filters, reshow, Gaussian blur. And here we have the next problem. I haven't unselected everything. So now again, filters, reshow, and here I leave enough structure in that you can see the details, but it's blurred. So, and now we have a gradient running from blurred to unblurred here through the image. Okay, this is not the perfect image for this method, but you get the drift. Taking it one step further is easy. Just do the same thing. Take the selection from the channels here, grow it to the value you want to have, and then apply the blur and work with the layers the way you want. Let's recap this. The first thing is you can store a selection for later use as a selection mask in the channels. There's another way you can also store it as a path, but I think the channels are better for this. You can restore it from there as a selection. Click. Here it is again. And of course you can also store these intermediary selections there and work from there. You don't have to start with this one here. The second thing is you can grow a selection, and when you grow a selection it keeps its form. Well, it keeps an approximate of the form, because the more you blow this selection up, the more the details vanish. It's a question of averages. The third thing is you can put a gradient into the selection by choosing feather or feather. And this works in a way that 50% of the effect is inside the selection and 50% is outside of the selection. And this row of marching ants just shows you the median, the 50% line. So you have to calculate that in, that you put it outside and inside of the selection. And then you can use these selections for either working on your image, as I did here with the desaturation. I inverted the selection and desaturated the image. Or you can add a layer mask, as I did here. This is a quite powerful and flexible concept. And now let's go back to last week's show, where I tried to make an image for selling the thing here on eBay. It's worth to look into the comments. There are a lot of tips for additional methods of making a cheap light tent and for other stuff here with this post-processing. 2 points I would like to mention. Of course, I wouldn't do a real eBay image in this quality for stuff that wouldn't sell for, let's say, more than 10 euro or so. I doubt I would have got more than this here. I haven't tried it. I have put this stuff into our school in the science collection. But if you want to sell something which is a little bit more expensive, more in the 3 digits area, then making a good image is a good thing. Second thing is, of course, I have forgotten something. I should have resized this image. Let's do this. Image resize, scale image, and I think 800 would be a good width. And I should and scale. The next step is flattening the image. Image, flatten image. This is not in the layers menu, but in the image menu. It's quite logical if you think about it. And the last step is sharpening. And this is done by filters and enhance, and either go for simple sharpen or for the unsharp mask. Let's do the unsharp mask. I go here to the preview, and you see the difference here between unsharpened and sharpened. It gives a little bit more of pop, and I will reduce the radius more to get it a bit more crisper, and get the amount a bit done and put a little bit of threshold in. I don't know if these are the optimum values for this, but it looks really good. And now we have a really crisp image, very technical, and I think this would have sold really well if anybody would have had any use for it. But I have used it for it at school. This was it for today. On Thursday we'll have a terrific show from Philippe, and he goes a little bit over the border into my part of the garden here, and takes a photo and works out from that. But I have already watched this show, and it's great. I'll see you next Tuesday, and up to then, come to the forum at forum.meetthegimp.org, come to the blog at meetthegimp.org and leave a comment about this show or the others, or write me an email at info@meetthegimp.org. Up to next Tuesday, and don't miss Philip's show on Thursday. Goodbye.
Photocastnetwork.com, your photography resource in the potosphere. Photocastnetwork.com